Recognize the ranking member of the Education and Labor Committee, Dr. Foxx. You recognize, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Parker, despite repeated warnings from the committee and legal experts about the limits on OSHA's authority, the Labor Department doubled down on the illegal vaccine and testing mandate, causing massive confusion for employers and threatening workers' personal medical decisions. OSHA now lists a whopping 28 planned regulatory action in the most recent agenda. What assurances can you provide that these regulations will be lawful? What safeguards are in place to ensure that massive regulatory overreach from OSHA will not threaten workers and job creators again?
Well, thank you, Ranking Member. I certainly take seriously, as does the Solicitor and the Secretary, the importance of making sure that all of our actions are legal and supported by the Administrative Procedures Act, that our regulations are supported by evidence in the record, and that they are supported by substantial evidence. And we'll continue to work to do that. Certainly in the case of the vaccine and testing rule, we did believe that we were on solid legal ground based upon the scale of the challenges and the scale of the pandemic and ongoing tragedy that we were experiencing. The Supreme Court ruled otherwise, of course, and that's always, that at times is going to be the case in these issues that involve complex legal questions. And so we can't guarantee that in every case our rules will be sustained, or some aspect, but we certainly operate in good faith and absolutely take seriously the need to be committed to the rule of law and how we move forward in our country.
Thank you for that commitment. We certainly are going to hold you to that, and we will express our opinions if we feel like you are not issuing lawful regulations. Mr. Parker, OSHA appropriately allowed the COVID-19 emergency temporary standard for the healthcare industry to expire at the end of 2021, but the agency is currently pursuing a final and permanent COVID-19 healthcare industry standard. The Biden administration seems intent on using the pandemic as an excuse to exert more federal control over people in the workplace. With the pandemic coming to an end, is it time for OSHA to stop exerting new powers?
Well, the powers that we're currently using with respect to COVID-19 are within our traditional authority. The COVID-19 healthcare rule, our emergency temporary standard by law operates as a proposed rule, and so we have to move forward on that and make it, ultimately make a decision about whether to make it permanent. And we have initiated that rulemaking or committed to doing something quickly. We think that it's important to have a rule certainly by the fall. And our focus with respect to our COVID-19 activities, whether it's our focused inspections that we're doing right now in healthcare, our national emphasis program, or our COVID-19 or our infectious disease rule, those are really focused on readiness and putting employers and workers in a position to be prepared for future eventualities and future dangers. So fewer workers die or their families are affected by this tragic disease or other future infections.
Well, I was in a healthcare facility yesterday, and that was the only thing they wanted to talk about were the absolutely unrealistic rules put out by OSHA, particularly as they relate to masks. Mr. Parker, the president's budget requested a massive 49% increase for OSHA's office in charge of devising and writing regulations, and the agency's plans to pursue an aggressive regulatory agenda. Has the administration considered the impact that dozens of new regulations will have on our nation's job creators and workers in the struggling Biden economy?
Absolutely, Dr. Foxx. We always consider the burden on employers and the cost in all of the rulemaking that we do. We take very seriously that that factor. We certainly don't think that there is a that we have to have an either-or situation where we have to choose between good jobs and safety and health protections for workers. And that's the approach that we take.